Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Dashboards for Your BRMS Environment. Thanks for joining us. Thousands of organizations use the BRMS solution to perform backup and recovery operations. And what we've heard from many of these customers is that it's not easy enough to determine the current status of the BRMS environments at a high level. Each environment and machine must be monitored individually. What we want to share with you today is how, with the BRMS dashboards in Insite Analytics, you can consolidate and monitor all of your BRMS environments into a unified dashboard, giving immediate visibility into the state of your backups, your media, and the health of your network. My name is Stacy Jensen, and I'm the Sales Manager for the Business Intelligence Division here at Help Systems. I am your host for today's webinar. Presenting today is our BI expert, Mike Stegman. Mike is a Senior Data Access Consultant with Help Systems, and he has been working on the IBM I since its inception in 1988 and has been working with our business intelligence solutions for 17 years. How are you today, Mike?
I'm doing great. Great, thanks, Stacy. Glad to be here, and hopefully we'll show some dashboards to some BRMS customers out there.
So a little housekeeping about today's session. We will have a Q&A session at the conclusion of the webinar. So if you have any questions at all during the session, please send those using the chat option. You can reach the chat option by clicking on the orange arrow at the top right-hand side of the screen. I'm also recording the webinar, so we'll include a link to the recording in our follow-up email, usually within a day. So before we get started, Mike, we'd like to start with a polling question.
That is correct. Simple question here. Do you currently use BRMS? Since that's kind of the focus of today's presentation here, let me launch this. Oh, there we go. If y'all could take just a minute. Tough question for the audience. Yes, no, not sure. So we'll wait a couple minutes here for everybody to respond. Looks like we have a pretty good turnout here. Wait just a couple more minutes. Excellent. Appreciate everyone joining in. Kind of get you a little bit started here, so just kind of see where everybody's at. Excellent. Okay, we'll wait just another couple of seconds here. Got a pretty good turnout. Pretty good. And then we'll go ahead and close the poll at this point. Let's go ahead and share the response just real quickly. As you can see, 81% responded yes. So that's pretty good, since that's the title of today's presentation here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this down and go back to our presentation. Excellent. So here's our agenda. These are the topics I'll be covering today. Just real briefly, we're going to touch on the current challenges of BRMS. We're going to touch on the Help Systems Insight, which is the single pane of glass, our database connections, especially for BRMS, and then we'll get into a live demonstration of the BRMS Insite Analytics dashboards. All right, so that's our agenda. So current challenges. What are the current challenges? Well, for those of you who are the responsible parties for your BRMS environment within your organization, these screens may look familiar to you. You have expired media at the top. We have backup information down below. There's some failed backups there, as you can see. And we understand that the current challenges is it the system or the administration or the operator? They have to look at several different screens. Each one has a single environment, just kind of looking at each environment separately. And then what happens is when you add multiple environments, multiple partitions, multiple L parts, multiple systems, etc., it means a lot more screens you have to go through. And we've heard from customers that they can't determine the current status of the system backup at a high level across their entire network using all of these green screens, right? That's kind of the biggest challenge. And the bigger the environment, the more time IT spends to manage and monitor the individual systems. And this is where BRMS dashboards within Insite Analytics comes in. Okay, now we have something called Insight. That's the single pane of glass approach to many help systems products. Okay, so we're going to do another poll. I'm going to jump in here. Poll number 2. All right, so maybe just a second here to launch this. Boom. Have you heard about Help Systems Insight? Should be out there. There it is. Go ahead and take just a couple moments to go ahead and click any of the options you have there. Yes, heard about it, don't use it. We are currently using it for deployment manager, for robot systems management, for PowerTech cybersecurity. Excellent. Excellent. Wait a few seconds here to get a good voter turnout. Always good to have a high voter turnout, right? Seeing it's an election year, don't want to get into politics, as we know, but it's always a good idea to have high turnout. So go ahead and just choose any of the options you have here. Specifically, it's about Help Systems Insight. Have you heard about it? Okay, a couple more seconds here, and then I'll close the poll and continue on with the presentation. There we go. Let's go ahead and close. Quick share on this. We got top and the bottom. Excellent. Yes, we've heard about it, but we haven't started to use about it. No, we haven't heard about it. Okay, that's fine. Excellent. Nobody in between using it for deployment manager or what have you. That's all right. No problem there. Okay, moving on then. We'll talk a little bit about Insights, and some of you had heard about it and some haven't heard about it at all, just real briefly. I want to explain what it is. Help Systems Insight helps you build a better IT. Okay, it allows clients to streamline their updates and installs for Help Systems products with Deployment Manager. Okay, provides browser interface for some of the Help Systems products that maybe didn't have one before, and it provides a way to bring information from several systems into one tool. So you can see on the screen here, installs on a server, different ways to set up authentication to see who can get into it, and interacts with Help Systems products. And I thought about this. I didn't actually have a slide on the BRMS, but I want to make sure that folks out there kind of understand the relationship between IBM and BRMS and Help Systems and BRMS. A few years back, IBM and Help Systems entered into an agreement where Help Systems would take over BRMS from a level 3 and development standpoint. IBM still issues it, sells it, licenses it in that way for BRMS, but we control the back end. That's why we are able to include with our Help Systems products into our Insight tool, the Insite Analytics piece of the Insight tool, the BRMS setup. Okay, so continuing on here, a little bit about Insight. Insight is an IT operations center tool that makes it easy for customers to work with our products through this unified web interface. Okay, whether you're updating the Help Systems products to various versions, whether you're looking at or creating operational dashboards, managing work from any device. It can be a tablet, it could be a phone, it could be your PC. Okay, and so Insight installs as the single pane of glass platform, and we have the 4 different methodologies here, if you will. Want to think of it that way. We have security with several security PowerTech products. That was the reason we asked the question early on if there's any PowerTech users out there who are using Insight. For the automation, we have some of that. We have some robot monitoring tools out there, schedule, network, etc., Intermapper. And then for Insite Analytics and BRMS for the analytics side. So Insight is the installation, goes out there once, right? You install the various pieces, or you can install everything, even if you don't have, for example, any PowerTech products. which is becoming less and less of the IBMI world out there, right? More and more people are getting, whether it's something like encryption or password self-help or exit point manager, stuff like that. PowerTech antivirus, those are some powerful tools on the security side. But we're going to talk specifically about Insite Analytics and BRMS, all right? So the first thing you do is when you install Insite is to make your database connections. That's what we're going to talk about here. So anytime you see the black on the left like this with the 9 little squares over there, that's Insite. And as we'll see in the demo, Insite Analytics is where you go to do things like enter your authorization code for Insite Analytics, to make your database connections for BRMS or for other databases, and where you build or modify queries, okay? So first thing you do is you come in here, Insite Analytics, and make your database connections. Like I said, I'll show you that in the demo just momentarily. Once you've made your connections between Insite Analytics and your BRMS systems, you're ready to display the dashboards, okay? You're off and ready to go. So this is one of them here, Insite Analytics. You get 2 pre-built dashboards ready to run. All you have to do, like I said, is to define your BRMS data connections. One focuses on backups, right? As you see here, active, successful, objects not saved, things like that. And then the second one, which we'll see in the demo, focuses on network health, talks about expired media, the versions of your systems, etc. And multiple systems can be included on one dashboard. As you see here, I have 3, which you'll have in the demo as well. And you can have others out there as well. So you can have a lot of environments into one dashboard. All right. It's kind of just a high level touch on what we have going on within Insite. Now it's time for the live demonstration. Okay, so I'll show a couple of different things here. We're going to talk about the BRMS data connections. We're going to show you the pre-built BRMS dashboards. We're going to talk about modifying a BRMS query if ever you need to, building or modifying a dashboard if ever you need to, and then just, you know, along the way, always a little bit, I call them morsels, right? A little bit more things here and there. All right, so I'm going to switch over. Give me just a second. Excellent. So this is Insite right here. So I'm logging on, and you see I'm using, if you look down at the bottom underneath the logon screen here, you see we're authenticating against a system called Wisdom, which is our IBMI. You don't have to. There's different ways to set up your authentication. I've set my preferences for my profile to come into the Insite Analytics into the query area. Okay, so what I see here are all of the queries. So here's what I showed on the PowerPoint. There's all the different tools. When you install it, you can choose to install all the products, or you can pick and choose the ones that you want. Deployment Manager always comes along because that helps you keep your help systems products current and up to date. Insite Analytics then comes along as well. Okay, so you have 4 different options here. Home, which is where you enter your authorization codes. Queries, where you build your queries, preferences if you have any, and the database connections. So I'm going to go into database connections. There's several different connections in our demo box here. So you'll see all of them listed here. And if you look underneath, it tells you the type of connection, whether it's BRMS, SQL Server, Excel, PostgreSQL, DB2400, etc. I've named all of ours BRMS, so I can type in the search bar here at the top, BRMS, and it brings up 3 systems, Domino, Help System, HS18, and Sparrow, and then 1 group. It's a new feature we added not too long ago for grouping your BRMS system. So if you have 20 systems and you want to have 5, 10, and 10, you can do that as well. So I clicked on Add on the left-hand side, and now you see all the different systems I can connect to. Choose BRMS. All you have to do is modify the URL slightly, right? You got to tell us where it's going, right? Where's the system? Is it by IP address? Is it by name? What's going on out there? Let me pull up Domino here as an example of one that actually is real. There we go. I named it Domino BRMS. You don't have to. I just like to group it all together. Domino is also part of this BRMS group that is out there. There's my URL. domino.helpsystems.com. Only admin and I have edit privileges to this. And then you have to put in credentials, so when it makes the connection, it knows who to, which profile to use for your connections. So in the group side, if I click on that connection, you'll see that Domino and HS18 are part of this group, right? And Sparrow is not. I could select it all, but that'd be kind of silly. I'd have all three plus plus the group of three. So I just included two, just to kind of give us something else to look at. Again, it's another feature, another way that you can group your BRMS systems together. Maybe you have a lot of servers that you want to take a little processing power off of the eye or off of the server that you're using, so you can kind of roll it back and group them together. Now on the query side, we provide you with a whole bunch of queries. Now you don't have to come here if you don't need to, right? I'm going to come out over here and look at these BRMS specific queries. We don't let you modify these, okay? That's why I went over to the add area and I said add from templates, because if you choose one of these, it's going to take you into a modification area. I recently had a client who needed to do a media class because the query that was out there didn't have the field she wanted. So we went in, we grabbed the query she wanted, added the class field into the select and the group by, so we know how the query is working, right? And it gave her information. Then we could place that onto a dashboard. Now, dashboards. How do you get to the dashboards? Right there in the upper left-hand corner. Come up to dashboards. You come up first, you see a list of all your dashboards. For new customers, obviously this will be empty. We have a lot out here. When you first sign on as admin, you'll have a folder here called BRMS template. Now I'm signed on as me, so what I did is I created another folder called BRMS dashboards. Then I copied those original ones as admin to my profile into my little BRMS dashboard folder, okay? Now I'm going into that folder and I have those two pre-built BRMS dashboards ready to go. Let's take a look at them. To run it, you can see I'm shared for edit. As admin, I went in and made sure I could edit them if I needed to, which is good because I might want to make a little tweak, make a little change. Again, I'm not a big fan of changing the existing ones. I'll make a duplicate. I'll show you how to do that momentarily, and then modify the duplicate. So here is the as shipped BRMS backup dashboard. Remember my three BRMS connections? Sparrow, Domino, and HS18 were my three systems. These are called widgets. I call them sections, right? But they're called widgets. If you look at the sections that are loading, you have objects not saved, active, successful, failed, and last run backups. Okay, it's also looking at the last 12 months, but you can change that if you need to. Now I clicked on the objects not saved, and there's a drill down for that query that's running in that widget. So it's running that to show me a little bit more information from the query about what to do or what this object is and what's happening. Why is it on this object not saved list from the 24th of January? Okay. So I can look at this. I can see I have 13 successful and 7 over on the failed. Now the bottom list is looking at all of my last backup runs. Anytime you have a list of data, you can sort on the columns. So I clicked on status, and it's sorting on the status, a couple with complete with error, and there's my failures, okay? There's 7 of them. If I count them out here, 5, 6, 7, okay? And this query also has drill down built into it. So if I pick one of the rows, just to click on it, it's gonna go and run me a query that's gonna show me a little bit more information about this failure. Again, so what I'm looking at here on the dashboard are 3 systems. I've seen some failures. I can click on it and see what's going on. I don't have to go to the individual green screen session. I'm looking at multiples here. So this gives me a little bit of information. Now, if there's a message that's waiting or something that needs to be addressed, you do have to go to that system to make those adjustments, but there you have it, okay? Now, the successful backups, showing 13. Now, I noticed in BRMS world that in the query here, it's actually pulling in two different codes. So what I am going to show you here, I'm going to turn on editing because I have edit rights. just slide the bar. Now I can edit the individual widgets, okay? Any of them out here, because I'm in design of this dashboard. So now I turn it off. I'll show you on the successful backups in a moment here how I separated those between complete with errors and failures, right? I kind of separated those. Let's jump over now to the BRMS network side. This is the other pre-built dashboard that comes with the system. Network health, if you have enterprise out there and you have it all set up and configured, now you have your system. So there's Domino, HS18, and Sparrow, showing my release level, my PTF level, whether or not I'm communicating, all the information's out here. My expired media list on the lower right-hand quadrant, the widget, and then a query, the chart. The charts are kind of cool. This one's showing the media count, expired media count for each of my BRMS connections. Anytime you have a chart within Insite Analytics like this, you can do a little bit with it. If I mouse over a piece at the bottom, you see how it becomes in focus and the other parts gray out, right? I can also click on a section and it actually will disappear from the chart. Sometimes that's handy if you have one that's really high and the others that are low. You can take out the high one and see the others a little bit more in relation. And there's drill downs on this as well. So I clicked on Domino. Now I'm seeing those expired media for the Domino connection. Okay, so right from the chart, I just clicked on that. So that's how, these are the two dashboards. I briefly showed them in the PowerPoint presentation, and here they are. Again, the admin user gets them initially, then he or she can share them with whoever he needs to. Now, this is where you see over on the far right-hand side, there are three buttons. You go in and you say duplicate the dashboard, duplicate. So that's what I did with the original one. I did it 1 and 2 with backups. Yeah, I could have named it something other than 1 and 2, but like I did under the network, the media class. But let me just show you one of the changes that I did for this first one. I split out. Notice that there were only 3 key indicators in the upper right-hand section. Right? Now there are 6. That's because there are 6 different codes that the queries are picking up. Okay, so I just modified each of those. So when you go into edit mode, you can use the down arrows or left and right arrows to create new widgets wherever you need to. Okay, when you go into edit a particular widget, comes up into the edit side, then it shows the data source, which would be Insite Analytics. Okay. Then that's what's loading now is the assets, which is the queries. So if I have other connections, they would be listed there. These are other queries, but under the BRMS, I'm running one called BRMS most recent backups per control group for all systems. Okay, there's the key indicator. It's doing a grouping by backup count. Okay, the filter options. The query that's running, it's doing filter. And you can see down at the bottom, this is where I learned about the successful, complete with errors, fails, etc. So this one is only looking at one, which is complete with errors. So I kind of split that out on my own. So I'm just gonna, and you see that there's 3. So I'm gonna cancel out of here, and that was the complete with errors section. All right, so I kind of split those out. Why did I do that? I don't know. I'm a little particular, right? I like to see things split out like that, not always grouped together. Now, here's some other ways that you can do it. This one is using data decorations, and it's also splitting them up by system. So I did the same type of thing with the editing of a widget, added a new widget underneath it, and then just specifically stated Domino, HS18, or Sparrow, put in some data decorations for colors. If there's anything out there, you see some highlighting going on. If it's above a certain number for time, if I have any objects not saved, you can set up what are called data decorations. Okay, I have a group dashboard that I created. This one only has that one query out here, right? Just kind of a work in process. I just kind of went out and grabbed the group. So if you look at here, I'm going to do the edit on this guy. And you'll see again, Insite Analytics is our data source. Scroll down to the asset area. I have a wheel mouse, so that's what I use to roll down. And under here, I'm using the most recent backups per control group's detailed, and I'm picking up the group. And if you remember from my data connection, my group was HS18 and Domino, not Sparrow, right? So that's what is going to appear in this grouping. I'm picking it up as a list. I could have done a chart of some type. With the list, I picked the fields, things like the sort order of the data, the time frame, the order that it's going to appear left to right from the fields, those types of things I can actually choose. Any data decorations under the analytics side, I don't have any out here, but you can pick your fields and put in some conditional logic, if you will, with that. So then you go through and you save, and I'm just going to cancel because I didn't need to be in here. So obviously this dashboard has a lot of room. I can add other queries and other information out here. That's why I kind of like to modify the existing ones, right? Duplicate them and then go from there. But now real quickly, there's other things you can do with dashboards. This one's not looking at BRMS data, okay? This one's looking at business data. We have a client who was using Automate to put data from a web-based database into Excel. Well, you can use Excel as a data source, so that's what we were doing here. And you can see the charts, how you can play with those month to date, year to date. If I had daily out here, if I had enough information for daily, there would be another stack out here because I created this chart as a stacked bar chart, right? The one on the left here has drill downs, so I can see that Mark has a big line out there with a lot of information. So maybe he was really busy. Maybe he just logged on and everybody did his work as his profile. Okay, so you can look at other data. There's another one here showing similar type of information, showing some data decorations. Right. Again, it's business data, looking at daily, monthly, and yearly sales information. This one's going against a SQL data warehouse data from the eye, but if you're familiar with SQL Data Warehouse or data warehouses in general, you understand how those work. We're looking at already data put together, but you can drill down from a pie chart, from a bar chart, all the different charting is out there, all those types of things are available to you when you're doing that. So you have other capabilities from dashboards when you have Insite Analytics and the ability to create different data connections, all right? So again, it's up under dashboard. You have Insite Analytics where you can come, you just make your data connections and go from there. All right. I'm gonna flip back over now. So in summary, what did I talk about? Briefly talked about help systems Insite as a single pane of glass for help systems solutions, right? You get at least the deployment manager, like I mentioned, where you can keep your help systems products, which we have a lot. If you ever go out to our website, we have quite a list out there. Keep them all up to date. Tell you what's current, what's not. You can do the install right from the deployment manager. It's a quite useful little tool. If you have other help systems products, you can get a graphical way to see some of those help systems solutions. All right. With Insite Analytics, it adds the ability to query over your data and over other data sources, as well as having your BRMS connections and the dashboards right available for you. So the BRMS dashboards help you with the analyzing, right? Gives you the visualization and sharing. You can create shortcuts from those dashboards. So someone doesn't have to actually go to BRMS and go to the dashboard section, go to find the dashboard and run it. You just make a shortcut to it. They just click on a shortcut on the desktop, off they go. So there's some deployment functionality built in with the browser-based Insite tool. Okay, so no doubt that Insite can assist with building a better IT department. Insite Analytics goes one step farther to allow business data to be queried and shared, especially when we're talking about BRMS, all right? So now we're gonna take a quick look at any questions. So if there are any questions that are still coming in, put them into the questions area from the webinar, the GoToWebinar setting, right? And the pane that Stacy mentioned at the very beginning. And before we start answering questions, if you're still not sure about Insite Analytics is a good fit, there you can It is downloadable from our community portal for Help Systems clients, and we do offer a free trial for Insite Analytics, and we'll actually help you with the install, to get started with the software, with the data connections, and make sure you can see firsthand what benefits and how they will apply in your environment. So let's take a quick look at the questions.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Stacy.
Great. So there was one question. We have multiple systems with lots of LPARs. Is there a way to separate or group systems or LPARs into separate dashboards? Do they have to all be on one dashboard, or can I?
Yeah, that was kind of that grouping function that we talked about. I did touch on that, so this one probably came in before I alluded to that. But you would set up groups. You can't set up more than one group. I only had the one, so you'd set up multiple groups if you need to, right? And then within each group, you would have your BRMS connection. So if Tony in IT handles 10 of the systems and Bob handles the other 10, then you'd set them up in separate groups. Then they each have their own dashboards looking at just their group of systems.
Great.
Okay, let's see what else we got out over here. One question from Tim, I don't know what that is. Does the product work with FSFC? I'm not sure what FSFC is. Oh, full systems flash copy. We work with BRMS. Insite Analytics works with BRMS. If BRMS works with the flash copy, thanks for clarifying that, Tim. Then yes. So the information, the queries that we have as far as that goes is BRMS. Now, if you're asking does BRMS work with that, you'll have to talk with the BRMS support people to get that question out there. What we're doing here is just kind of talking about that. If you have BRMS in your environment, you can get Insite Analytics, bring it all to one screen. Okay. Excellent. Thanks, Tim. Question. I don't like questions like that. Sorry.
Yeah, that was good, Mike. Like you said, we are pulling information out of BRMS. We're not pulling information from flash copy.
Right.
So I think what he's wondering is if the flash copy failed, if he would know that.
Gotcha.
If we would capture that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because we pull the information directly from BRMS, from the BRMS side.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Let's see what else we got out here.
Flash copy does send information back to BRMS, so if that
I believe it does. Yeah, it sends information back to say yay or nay kind of things. Yep, I believe it does.
Yeah, so we've captured there. Can you download data into a PC file? So I'm not.
From the query list, you can download it. There's a download option from the query list. And there's a CSV option, which would of course then open directly in Excel. So yeah, so you go to your query list. If you built a query, if you've modified a query, there's a download button from there, and you go in. One of the enhancements that we're going to put out, we're thinking of putting out at some point, is from the dashboard to have the download capabilities. But right now, you just go to the query side and download directly from there if you need it into Excel.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Good question.
So there is a question on cost. So there's a couple of things. There is not a cost for Insite. And so if you're a Help Systems customer, you might already be using that, or you certainly are welcome to download and install that and get that up and running with your Help System solutions. There is a cost to Insite Analytics, and that really does depend on your environment. We do have options for all levels of organizations. So I think that came from Patrick. We'll definitely circle back and have a quick conversation with you to understand your environment and make sure you have the options available.
Right, because you were talking, the question came in earlier about multiple systems out there. So that comes into, a lot of different things come into play with that. That's how many systems you got, how many things you're going to need what have you, et
How many
cetera.
connections, right?
Right. And one thing, I've gotten this question before. I didn't see it out here yet, but since I mentioned groups a little bit earlier, that's kind of where I was going to with this, was someone asked if groups count as a data connection if you're limited to the number of data connection based on your authorization code. Groups do not. Groups do not. So if you set up 10 connections, then and 5 different groups, 2 each, whatever, the groups don't count as a connection per se. It's just a a separate way to organize your BRMS connections to put them onto a dashboard. So
sure. Yep.
And things are changing all the time, so keep reaching out to sales reps and account reps, and et cetera. So excellent.
Yep.
You seeing any others out there?
I do not see any others.
Nope, I don't either. I think we got everybody. So excellent.
Yeah. So as we said in the beginning, we did record the webinar, so we will send a recording off. So happy also to answer individual questions if they come up after the webinar. The sales team will reach out to see if we could help in any way. And I think that wraps us up, Mike, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of the presentation and the end of the brief demo. We can do a one-on-one demo if you need to. Just reach out to Stacy here and or your sales rep, and we can do another specific demo just for you, a little bit more in depth. And we have a trial capability. So if you load Insight, you can trial Insite Analytics and the BRMS connection. So yep. That's all.
Right.
That wraps it up.
Thanks, Mike. Good job. Appreciate the information. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Have a good one.